already know companies are tightening their belts. Companies are tightening their belts. So I'm gonna tell you like this. You should be tightening your belt as well. You should be tightening your belt as well. Especially if you aren't a person that's very visible within your company and you are a person that, you know, just thinks that performance, the work that you do is what's going to keep you at a company. And many people think that. Many people are under the impression that, hey, you know what? Let's just say I'll use an example that you were in technical support or a help desk and you solve the most tickets on your team. To you, you think that you are the best employee because you solve the most tickets on your team. Well, if you aren't doing the things like coaching people, managing up your manager, taking on additional tasks, your performance, you're looked at based on your performance as a mediocre average employee. Although your performance may be higher than everybody else's. But if you don't do the things such as coach, you're likable, manage up, help the organization in other ways as well, they aren't going to look at you as somebody who's going to be promotable, somebody who can take the reins and lead the organization to get to extra grand or extra 10 grand or get to the 6 figures and so forth. You have to think more than your performance. You have to think about how you can impact other individuals in your job outside of your performance. And I was talking to one of my mentees the other day, and I gave him this equation. He said, Antoine, how much does your performance lead to your promotion? And I said to my mentee, I say this, your performance does play a factor because it's about results. But in my experience, your performance is only about 40% of you being promotable. The other 60% is you having visibility within your organization. You being a person that is liked by your peers. You being a person that is helpful within the organization. You being a person that can manage up and take tasks off your manager's plate so that they don't have to consistently do extra, right? It's important for you to toot your own horn, to tell your story, the marketing pieces of it as well. That's the 60% that really helps you get promoted. And people today think that, okay, well, you know what? I'm passed over because I'm killing everybody on the field with my performance, but I keep getting passed over for promotions. And there's a reason for that. It's because you aren't doing those other things. If you don't know how to do those things, you need to book a coaching session with me or a mentorship session with me, a career empowerment or a one-on-one coaching session by going to www.blkheights.com, www.blkheights.com. Let's sit down, let's have a conversation. Let's discuss how you can continue to climb the ladder to make more money for you and your family. That's what we should be having a conversation about. I want to see you guys ladder climbing. I want to see you guys out there on the boat. I want to see us tied up having a good time where our families are jumping into the water. That's what I want to see. And in order for me to be able to see that, you have to make more money. You have to get to positions of power within your career, and it's not just based on your performance. It's a 40 to 60 split. 40% is your performance, the other 60% is other things. And you may not like it. You may not like it, but that's what it is. And that's what Uncle Antoine's going to give you, okay? All right, let's get to the 30% or the 3,000 people who were laid off. 30,000 tech employees were laid off, guys. In the month of July, 30,000 tech employees have been laid off because companies are tightening their belts. Over 30,000 tech employees have lost their jobs as of July. An insider spoke to employees from Tesla to Coinbase to hear their stories. And their stories are of personal and economic toll of the layoffs in the industry. Guys, getting laid off is devastating. And we're not going to make any light to any of this stuff. You already know the Great Resignation. They were marketing it as employees had the upper hand. Employees had the upper hand. I'm going to tell you like this, based on my coaching calls that I've had, no longer do employees have the upper hand. You're not going to get a job offer where they're giving you $150,000 that you gave them a range on. They gave it to you, and you're going to ask for an additional $10,000 or $20,000 on top of that. No longer are companies going to stretch their budgets for talent. At least they're not doing it now. Multiple people within my community over the last 2 to 3 weeks have gotten offer letters, and they've asked for additional money, additional salary. And guess what companies came back with? No, no. And they were like this. Right? They can choose to take the role because they're doing well, or they can choose not to, right? But I'm just letting you guys know, before you go out there seeking additional employment, if you're in a good place at this point in time, just know the job market is not what they're saying it is. Companies are no longer out there paying an astronomical amount for talent at this point in time. As you can see, they're laying off talent that are mediocre. They're laying off people who don't have visibility. They're laying off people who are or can't meet the performance requirements. And we're going to hear some of their stories. According to the latest data from the U.S. Department of Labor, unemployment claims have jumped to an unexpected 8-month high. And as the economy slowed down, many big tech companies have warned their employees of corporate downsizing and layoffs. And ahead of Facebook's poor earnings report, several executives sent memos to their teams warning of job cuts ahead. Early in the year, as cryptocurrencies crashed in one of the coldest dips the asset class has experienced in years, the hotshot crypto exchange Coinbase laid off nearly 20% of its employees. And not only did Coinbase lay off 20% of their employees, you guys got to remember, Coinbase also rescinded offer letters. They rescinded offer letters on employees as well too. So just imagine, you have a good job, you're listening to this market. Oh man, you know, I'm making 150. I'm about to get to the 200. I'm about to get to the $200,000. You put yourself out there to the market. You got a good job right now, right? Perfect job. All of a sudden, you put yourself out there to the market. You want to work in a fintech. You want to work for somebody like Coinbase. Go through the interviewing process, 6 interviews and so forth. Next thing you know, they give you an offer. You get that offer and you're like, damn, they're giving me the $200,000. The first thing is in your mind, I need to let my current employer know that I'm quitting. You turn in your 2 weeks. You turn in your 2 weeks. You accept the Coinbase offer, right? You thinking everything is good, everything is perfect, and all of a sudden you get that email, we have to rescind your offer. You quit your previous job already. You handed in your resignation. Now you're saying this. Now you are saying this. What do you do? What do you do? Yes, it's unfair, but that's what companies have done, and that's what companies are doing. And I would advise you guys to remember this, because many of you guys are going to forget that this ever happened. And when companies do things like this, you're still going to be, in a year, the noise is going to die down, and you're going to potentially even see this company in a different light, like, oh, I still want to work for this company. You got to remember, when companies go through tough times, they're going to do whatever they need to do in order for them to meet their objectives. And that may be rescinding offers, putting you in a very tough position for your family. Now you have no job. Now you can't provide for your wife and your kids. Now you don't know where your next paycheck's going to come in. You have to scramble. Now the next set of interviews that you have to go on, you're more stressed out because you have to land a job, because you only have a certain amount of savings before it runs out. Before you have to sell off your car, your house, and so forth. You are in a bad position. So just think about these stories and the companies that are doing this. If you are deciding to hit the market, think about how this has impacted other people, and consider that into your determination if that's the right company for you. Okay? Coinbase laid off nearly 20% of its employees. The company went as far as rescinding job offers from new recruits. Last month, Tesla let go more than 200 employees. And according to Crunchbase, more than 30,000 tech employees have been laid off as of July. At Insider, we are chronicling how the economic downturn is impacting tech's most vulnerable workers. I'm gonna tell you like this, guys. The job market report came out yesterday, and we're still at a 3.5% unemployment rate, which is very low. The jobs are out there. I think there's just a transitioning happen at this point in time, where when the pandemic was happening, tech shot up because there were more people that needed to be in that space. And so many people were able to get into that space. And now you're starting to see that there's a balance or a shift happening where those people that potentially got in and they aren't performing well, they're being let go. And what you also are seeing in the data that I've been able to read is that the areas that are picking up new jobs and hiring more people are the restaurant and the hotel industry, right? The restaurant and I forgot what the actual industry is called. I'm calling the hotel, but food, restaurant, whatever you want to call it. Those industries are growing. Those industries are growing. Those are the industries where a lot of people lost a lot of people. And you're going to these restaurants these days and they're saying need to hire. Well, they're hiring now because some of those people that were in tech who's losing their jobs have to go there and so forth. So there's a rebalance that's happening at this point in time in my mind, in my opinion. But at Tesla, an IT manager, we're going to talk about the Tesla employee who was an IT manager, who was one of the ones that got laid off, and we're going to listen to his story. A Tesla IT manager said he noticed the red flags the day he got hired. Boy, would that be something difficult. You get hired to a job, you're working for a company that is very well known. In the first day you get on the job, you notice that there's red flags. You're excited, but you notice that there's red flags. A Tesla IT worker tells Insider about the red flags they noticed before being laid off. The employee describes the scene at Tesla's Fremont, California factory where on the day of layoffs last month, people wept as they exited the lobby. The company offered the worker an Uber voucher to get home. But they told Insider editor, I feel like I'm starting over. Despite this experience, they feel Tesla is doing good things for the world and so forth. But guys, you noticed the red flags when he got hired. People wept when they exited the lobby. They felt like they had to start over. You're out there in the Californian area, you already know that people are stretched because of the high cost of living. I mean, that's the Valley area, or that's the LA area, and it's very expensive. You're talking about rent anywhere from, $4,000 a month, and mortgages, $1 million homes, $12,000 a month. And if you're an IT manager, you're making a good amount of money. You're probably bringing in, $200,000 working for a company like Tesla at a minimum. You get laid off. That impacts everything. Coinbase program manager. I've never experienced such a lack of empathy. For Miguel, working at Coinbase was a dream come true. But he was one of the 100 or 1,100 employees the company laid off as cryptocurrencies crashed earlier this year. In the weeks prior, many employees asked if layoffs were imminent. But according to Cuevas, management told everyone to keep chugging along as though things were normal. And he tells Insider Report that he felt the company failed to deliver on its promises. Dream company. They just said, you know what? Keep going. You thought things were just fine. It was one of the ones that it impacted a tremendous amount. Now he has to go home, talk to his wife or his family members, friends, let them know that he's out there looking for employment. That's what's happening, guys. That's the reality of it. Netflix copywriter. I truly think it's evil what was done to me and my colleagues today. A copywriter at Netflix shuttered fan site Tudrum describes the layoffs and now the shuttered site. First, they found out their manager's Slack has been deactivated. Then they noticed the call had been ignored. Others had described getting the bad news over the phone. When they called back, they received news, 2 weeks pay, but their job was no more. Tesla recruiter. I did an article on this one. I struggled to maintain my composure and not cry. New recruiter, dream job. This gentleman ordered 2 Teslas. He balling, making all kinds of money. Balling. Ordered 2 Teslas, not one. He said 2. Worked for Google. He worked for Microsoft and all this other stuff before. Very ecstatic about working for a company like this. Worked there for about a month. Things were okay. Starting to hear some news. People saying, oh, it's not going to happen to us. One of the things that I recall him saying, he wasn't able to show how his performance had contributed to the company. Well, guys, what do you think happens when your manager is being asked to reduce staff? What do you think happens? What do you think happens when your manager is being asked to reduce staff? Think about this. Put yourself in those shoes, right? You are a manager of 10 employees. Your boss or your boss's boss invites you to a meeting and says, Marco, we're going through some tough times at the company. I need you to reduce some of your staff. I need 2 people from off your team so that we can cut operating expenses, operating costs. I need 2 people. How are you going to make that decision? How are you going to make that decision? I've been in this situation before. I can tell you this right now. It's difficult because you know you're impacting people's lives. I've had to call the individual while he was on vacation to do such a thing. It's tough. But how are you going to make that decision? Think about it. You're going to make that decision based on performance only? Ask yourself, are you going to make that decision based on if somebody's bought into your program and follows the lead, follows your lead specifically? Is a person that you can trust? A person that has your back? A person that you can mentor? Who are you going to take? Who are you going to take? Performance? Person that performs well, does the job, but also you can trust, has your back, speaks highly of you, makes you look good, and so forth. Now, there's other elements in between there as well. But how are you going to make the decision? That's the question that I want you guys to think about, because as you continue to climb within your career, those are decisions that you will ultimately have to make. And they're tough decisions, guys. And they impact people. They impact people. But if you climb the ladder, get to a GM role, SVP, C-suite, these are decisions that you have to make at a company level. Mass layoffs. And none of them are good. No matter how much empathy you share or try to put in, it's never going to be good enough for people. And you can do it as gracious as you want. But you're always going to find stories like this as well that leaks out there where somebody didn't think it was graceful at all. It's tough. It's tough. So just think about that as you're climbing the ladder. Those are decisions that you have to make. But that comes with being a high-paid person. That comes with being a person that's respected, and so forth. Those are tough decisions that needs to be made. And if you own your own business and you have to do something like that, it's tough. It's tough. So